I start making calls because I knew in order to make this happen, I needed a helicopter. So call it all around, I find a helicopter pilot. Johnny Copter's his name, up in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We go up there Sunday. Next day, we're in a helicopter flying down the coast all the way to shoot this thing. That's how this whole thing started. Gotta stay hydrated. All right, so today I'm gonna jump into a video. This is a product. This is a project we did with when CNA Tower. You guys know the red building on the Chicago skyline used to be CNA Tower. Now they're at 150 or 155 West Randolph or whatever, I think. Well, we were a big part of the marketing piece that got that building to go from CNA Tower to what is Northern Trust Tower now. If you go look at that bill right now, it says Northern Trust. It's no longer CNA Tower. This thing was insane. We did this from start to finish, literally in 7 days. And I'm gonna tell you how this whole thing started. We were out in Denver, Colorado, shooting with an AI company, some artificial intelligence company. We were out there running all through the mountains for 2 or 3 days. And we were leading, and it was when the Cubs had won the World Series or something. You know, I remember when we first got off the plane, we got to our Airbnb in Rhino. And then like the Cubs had won, and that was a big. But we're on our way back, and we were in the parking lot of a Walgreens in Denver, and we got a call from this broker. He's like, "Hey, yo, I got this project for you guys, but I need this now. I need it done in 7 days." I'm like, "All right, word. What is it?" The broker was what used to be Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, whatever you want to call it, and he was the lead on doing a pitch presentation to the people at Northern Trust to get them to look at this big space that was about to be open. Because, you know, CNA Tower was CNA Tower for a reason. CNA Insurance took up a lot of floor plates, a lot of square footage. So when they left, they needed someone to come in and take over those floor plates. So they were in the process of pitching a bunch of large companies, organizations, Fortune 5s, to take over that space. This was Northern Trust because I think this was the best bet that they had. So they wanted to put together something super sick that they had in a presentation 7 days from the day that we talked to them on the phone in Denver or whatnot. So, you know, me feeling invincible and knowing that I could make some shit happen, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's go. When does this need to be done? It was a Friday when we got the call. We were flying back. We get there that Saturday. And they needed it that following Sunday. So I'm like, all right, cool. We get back on Saturday. I start making calls because I knew in order to make this happen, I needed a helicopter, right? I had a Phantom 2 or Phantom 3 drone at the time, and there were just height restrictions, and that drone just wasn't very reliable. If you ever flew a Phantom 2, drone, you had a 50-50 chance of crashing that thing. So with this project, I couldn't take a chance. So the first thing was to find a helicopter pilot. I called all kind of people. I was like, yo, it's Saturday. I need to fly this thing tomorrow because I got to edit all week. And then that following weekend, I was going to New York to go shoot a casino project. Yeah, I'm talking about just total chaos, insanity. But again, it's like, we're going to make this happen. So call it all around. I find a helicopter pilot. Johnny Copter's his name, up in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We go up there Sunday. Next day, we're in a helicopter flying down the coast all the way to shoot this thing. That's how this whole thing started, right? Between Friday and Saturday, going there, in my mind, I'm putting together a production plan of how we're going to shoot this whole thing, talking to the broker. Okay, cool. What floors do you want to shoot? What inside offices do you want to shoot to showcase this to the end client? You know, what don't you want to see? Do you want to show, they wanted to show a shuttle going from the new location to this whole thing happened in 24 hours, right? So I'm going to jump into this right now. I shot this with a Red Dragon, which was a total nightmare. I had a Red Dragon at the time. And in addition, I had the original Ronin, the OG, the big boy. So, moving that around, you're looking at 50, 60 pounds and a lot of back pain, a lot of shoulder pain. So I'm going to jump right into this video. This thing opens up with a time lapse I shot with this Red Dragon on top of CNA Tower. The rooftop of CNA Tower has no retaining wall. It's like, 6 inches. A lot of buildings you go on top, if you've ever been on top of a big skyscraper, retaining wall usually goes up to your waist or a little bit higher. so you don't blow off the top of the building. The retaining wall on CNA Tower is literally that big, so you have to be very, very careful moving around and setting up tripods and all this kind of stuff. So we kept the crew small. This song will forever be stuck in my head. It's one of those edits. I shot and edited this. Time lapses, Phantom, Northern Trust. This is all red work, Phantom work. You see how shaky that is? We could have used image stabilization way better on that shot, but we didn't. That was obviously from the helicopter. And I'll show you some photos later. This helicopter, we were flying around in this thing. Again, 50-pound camera, 60-pound camera, but no doors. I don't know if you've ever flown in a helicopter, in an R-44 helicopter. It's a pretty small helicopter. And this happened in October, November, so it was freezing cold out there. It takes 45 minutes to fly from Kenosha downtown. So that's what we did, froze our balls off, and we were hanging out getting these shots. That's Phantom from the ground. Really just showing the name. Now this 3D work here, this was another Hail Mary that I pulled out of my ass, right? I had never gotten a helicopter in 24 hours for something, so we made that happen. Then we were working with the interior design, the architectural company, to create these renderings to show what the space could be for whoever took over the lease, right? I found a guy that was doing 3D renders. I sent him the Revit files from the interior or the architect or whoever it was, interior designer. I sent it to this guy that I found out in Boston. He was doing this stuff for like $80 an hour at the time, and he nailed this. I had never worked in 3D up until this point, so this was really the first time that I learned about Revit files and OBJ files, and putting all this stuff together to create a rendering of what something could be. So what you're about to see is the rendering of, the remodeled lobby and all this kind of stuff. Check it out. It's one of my favorite time lapses right here. And again, this was all done in less than 7 days. I bullshit you not. Everything. Inside of the office, lakefront. When I look at this, and when I go back and when I look at these camera moves, I can just see the difference between using a OG Ronin and like a Ronin S2. It's just such a big, you're not doing this shit. Your range of motion is so small with that. It was a whole nother vibe with that thing. It was bulky and it was a nightmare. The one thing I did appreciate this about the Red Dragon that I was using at the time is it did have the dynamic range to hold my shadows and highlights without blowing shit out, which was great. This really bringing the experience to life for whoever it was, because again, none of this stuff existed. The fitness center that they did have at CNA Tower, I want to say it's in the lower levels of the building, and it looked like a basement. It was dark. It was terrible. And these renderings were to really show how a lightened up interior, more space, cleaner lines, all that good stuff would look for whoever were to take over the lease. This is all stock footage. Lens flares. There's a trick about lens flares. I use lens flares either to make a clean transition from one part of a video to the next, or depending upon the one you choose, I use lens distortions. And I want to say it's the Legacy pack. It makes your shit look extremely luxury. It takes it from here to here. You see it in a lot of car commercials. If I want to make something look luxurious and more expensive than it may be in real life, I use a very small lens flare at about 27% opacity between two clips, and it looks fantastic. That's Phantom work. And by the way, I don't think I flew this Phantom here, and I'm gonna tell you why I didn't take this aerial. I think the guy, I used to work with this guy named Patrick, and he was FAA licensed and everything. I didn't want to fly my Phantom here because I was going to New York that Friday to go shoot this insane big ass casino project, and I didn't want to crash my drone, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna hit this dude up, pay him to do it, so he can take the risk. So I gotta have my drone for this other project in New York, so I don't look crazy. So I didn't shoot this. I think his name was Patrick. I think his name. Shout out to you. But yeah, he did this, and then another kid named Sam did the animations on the buildings to show how many spaces or how many floors the new tenant would take up. It's pretty dope. This was a shuttle. This was to show, obviously, proximity to all of these retailers. You know, you can see all these different retailers. Who knows if they're all there today? I can pretty much guarantee you that half of them probably aren't. But then there's also a shuttle that they were going to show to run people from Ogilvy to the new location and all that good stuff. Stock footage. Stock. No, that's real. That's real. Photo, stock, rendering. Yeah, and you know, I finished this edit. I was literally up at night in New York. That's right, it was for John Buck in New York. Grew up in night. I was in New York City in a hotel room at the Buffalo Seneca Niagara Casino, finishing up this edit for the broker. As I was starting to set up out there for that. I'll pull up some behind the scenes. You know, this was, like I said, this was my camera right there. That was my Red Dragon. Being up on that roof, you know, we went up there like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So you're literally up there, and it was kind of cold, but it was extremely peaceful. Being on top of a skyscraper in Chicago at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., I mean, it's dead silent. Like, it's literally like you're just hearing the cold, you know, whistle past your ear or whatever, but the wind blow by your ear. It's like being on Mars or something. You can see here, you can see the Cubs on the Aon building. That, like I said, the Cubs had just won, and I'm pretty sure that following weekend when I was in New York, they did that big party downtown where all those people came downtown and partied and did that. Yeah, that's me up there with the Red Dragon. As you can see right there, you can see how low that retaining wall is. And you can see the track for window cleaning going around. There's me down here at the end. It's like being in outer space. One thing that I appreciate in doing what I've done for over a decade is I've been on top of some of the sickest skyscrapers. Definitely, for the most part in Chicago, I've seen some of the sickest views I've seen from being on top of Aon Tower, Kingsbury Plaza, you know, CNA Tower, 155 Randolph. I've been on top of so many buildings, and you just, I don't know if maybe it's peace for me. There's a level of peace that you get. It's just, it's unbelievable to see those views. But yeah, man, I mean, this was a project, like I said, we got this done in 7 days, and it really was just all about getting a clear plan of action to start with, talking to the client, being like, hey, what is gonna sell this project for you quick? What are the things that you want to, what do you want to show in this presentation is gonna blow these people away? And that's what we got. We knocked it out of the park. Like I said, Sunday we were shooting aerial and helicopter. Monday, Tuesday we were shooting in and around CNA Tower, and the next few days we were editing. Probably delivered the first cut by Thursday, Friday. Went back and forth with the broker a few times, got him the final by Saturday night. You know, like I said, you look at that tower today, and Northern Trust is there. So they obviously, you know, they won that bid, and it's cool to be a part of, to know that we've been a part of some of these cool and big mergers or transactions or sales on the real estate side of things, especially on the commercial side. You know, whether it's new skyscrapers going up, pre-construction condo sales, or just being able to say that we took part in a lot of some of the history, you know, real estate architectural history in this city like that and to look and know we were part of that. That shit feels good. If I were to do this all over again, what would I do different? Well, I wouldn't rent a helicopter because you can definitely fly that high now with Mavics and shit like that. I definitely wouldn't use a red camera. I sold both of my red cameras years ago because they don't fit. They're not conducive to my style of shooting. They're just too slow and bulky and I don't like them. I definitely shoot everything with Sony. Obviously, I wouldn't have a big-ass Ronin. I'd use a Ronin S because I could just make shit happen a lot smoother. I'd probably use a slider for some things. And the B-roll would just be way sicker. My animator is way sicker now. You know, my shooters are way sicker. So I still think it would take the same amount of time. You know, we got it done in 7 days. I think we could do it. We could probably do it a little faster, but like in all actuality, when you're coming off a 3-day shoot in a city, hopping on a plane, getting right back to action, shooting this shit for 7 days, getting on another plane and shooting for 2 weeks in New York, non-stop. I mean, it's a different type of production. Nowadays, with the gear that's available, you can make shit happen in half the time or a quarter of the time. It's just better. It is. So there you have it. CNA Tower project with Northern Trust. We knocked that shit out in 7 days and made a miracle happen. And we're the best. What else can I say? I'm not going to lie. If you like what you saw, like it, subscribe. We're going to keep coming back with these. We got some super epic stuff that's going to be coming up. I'm going to be bringing in my creative director, Lydia Smith, because we've been talking about the production side of things a lot, but the creative side is insane. I got my editors, Chris Elizabeth, that I'm going to bring in. So we're going to keep dropping knowledge on this production shit and how we make it happen. You know, I talked to, I think Elizabeth came in here, and some of the people that she works with or knows, they work on one project for 3 months. Well, in 3 months, we might knock out 60, 70 projects. There's a method to our madness, and we're going to keep exposing how we do this one episode after the next. Until next time, I'm out.